Hello, jr5. This is unit 11. This is our reading lesson today. It's about helping other people. Before we start, I'd like you to think why we should help other people. Yeah? Because it's a virtue or grace. Also, because it makes us happy. It makes you feel better about yourself. And it makes the world a better place. Okay, how can we help each other? I'd like you to think. To donate, for example, to donate something you don't use, like clothes, uh, to buy food for a homeless person, to comfort someone in grief or in sadness, even by a smile or by listening to him, or even by sending a message. Okay? I'd like you to think of other ways to help other people. Here in this story, we have Mary C. Cole. She's a great role model. What does it mean, role model? It means sample for imitation. One should behave like her. Why? Because she always wanted to help sick and wounded people during war. Thus, she remains one of the greatest figures. Let's read about her. As you see, this is her picture with her mother. Let's read about her early life. Mary Seacole was born in Jamaica in 1805. Okay, she was born in this year in Jamaica. Do you know where is Jamaica? It's in the West Indies, in the Caribbean Sea. Okay, Kingston is the capital, and English is the language. Okay, so she was born in Jamaica in 1805. Her father was a soldier in the British Army. He serves in the British Army. Her mother owned a hotel, or she had a hotel. Many soldiers from the British Army stayed there. Why? They were often ill and with diseases that are found in hot countries because they were uh, ill. Okay? Mary's mother looked after the soldiers and she made medicines for them. As you see in the picture, she was making medicine, okay, traditional medicine like herbs or something like this. Mary's mother looked after the soldiers and she made medicines for them. When she was a young girl, Mary watched her mother and learned from her. When she was older, she helped her mother to look after the people, to take care of the people in the hotel. Sometimes she helped in the British hospital too. Okay, so the mother was a healer and taught Mary many of her skills using the traditional Jamaican medicines. Okay, I'd like you to answer this question. What did Mary learn from her mother? Okay, I've just said the answer. She she helped her to look after the people in the hotel. Okay, working as a nurse. Mary married Edwin C. Cole in 1836. Over the next few years, she had many difficulties. She had many troubles. The hotel burned down. It was damaged by fire in 1843 and had to be rebuilt. She had to build it again. Her husband died in 1844 and her mother died very soon afterwards. Mary was sad, but she decided to work hard. The hotel was now hers. After building it again, it was hers. She continued to nurse sick people and became well known or famous. Uh, she traveled to Central America and nursed many patients or injured or sick people there too. More and more people knew about her work. Okay. So, Mary had some difficulties. I'd like to know what difficulties did she have? The hotel burned down and had to be rebuilt, and also her husband and her mother died. Okay, let's read about the war far away. In 1854, Mary heard about a war far away in the south of Russia. British soldiers were fighting Russian soldiers. So the war was uh, between the Great Britain and Russia. Many men were dying in battle or during the war. They were dying in the hospitals because of germs and diseases. Germs, as we said, microbes or viruses and diseases. Mary wanted to help. The doctors in Jamaica said that Mary Seacole was a good nurse. They wrote a letter to the British government, okay, because she was a good nurse. They wrote a letter to the British government. Mary took it to London, but the government would not send her to the war. She wanted to go to the war to help the injured people there. But the government did not want to send her. Mary thought that they did not like her brown skin. She thought they wanted only English nurses. So, I'd like you to answer, where did she travel and nurse patients? Yeah, she traveled to Central America. Okay. What did the doctors in Jamaica say about her? They said that she was a good nurse. Let's look at this picture. Here she uh, was helping wounded soldiers. Let's see what she did. Mary traveled to the war on her own. She visited the hospital of Florence Nightingale. This is the name of a famous nurse there. She was Florence Nightingale, another famous nurse. Florence Nightingale did not want Mary either. She did not want her to work with her. Mary traveled closer to the war. She built her own hotel, as you see in the picture, near the British Army's camp. She wanted to be near the camp. She looked after sick and wounded soldiers. She worked hard until the end of the war in 1856. Okay, so what did she do during the war? Please answer this question. In 1884, she traveled closer to the war. She built her own hotel, okay, and she looked after sick and wounded soldiers. Now, the return to London after the war finished. Mary returned to London, but she had no money. Many important people knew about her work in the war. There were stories about her in the newspaper. People gave her money. Okay? As we said, she was well known. Okay, but she had no money. But people gave her money. She wrote her autobiography, book about her life, and she recounted all her travels. She told all her travels and adventures. She died in 1881. Okay, so I'd like you to answer this question. Where did she return after war? Yes, she returned to London. Okay, and this is a portrait of her. Okay, the portrait depicts Mary seated in front of a wide valley, beside a tent, next to a camp stool, and a table full of medicine bottles. Okay, let's read A Heroine at Last. People forgot about her for nearly 100 years. People could not remember Mary Seacole. Everyone knew about Florence Nightingale. She was famous, but Mary Seacole's word was not remembered. Recently, that has changed. Now, children learn about her in school. When she faced difficulties in her life, she tried harder. She traveled across the world to help other people. She had little money and she was not important, but still helped. Now people think of her as a real heroine. Okay, please answer this question. What did she write? She wrote her autobiography, okay, her travels and adventures. Now I'd like you to think or to tell me, I'd like you to tell me, do you think that Mary Seacole is a real heroine? Why and why not? Another thing, if you were her, would you do the same like her? Would you travel to many countries to help people? Okay, I'd like you to answer these two questions. Thank you.